Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to be with you here in our sanctuary this morning, and as well we welcome those who are joining us on live stream. We begin our service on page 66 with an inspiration for prayer. Each of us enters this sanctuary with a different need. Some hearts are full of peace and gratitude, overflowing with love and joy. They are eager to confront the day to make the world a better place. They are recovering from illness or have escaped misfortune. We rejoice with them. Some hearts ache with sorrow. Disappointments weigh heavily on them. Families have been broken. Loved ones lie on a bed of pain. Death has taken a cherished loved one. May our presence and caring bring them comfort. Some hearts are embittered. Ideals are betrayed and mocked, answers sought in vain. Life has lost its meaning and value. May the knowledge that we too are searching restore our hope and renew our faith. Whatever the reasons are that you are with us this morning, we are grateful for your presence and your spirit. We turn to page 76 as we offer prayers for body and soul, starting first with the English, offering our blessings and gratitude to God for healthy bodies, and then Cantor will chant and lead us in the chant of Elohai Neshama on page 78, praising God for the gift of our soul. Join with me on page 76. Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who formed the human body with skill, creating the body's many pathways and openings. It is well known before your throne of glory that if one of them be wronged, open or closed, it would be impossible to endure and stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, who heals all flesh, working wondrously. Baruch ata Adonai, rofecho basar, umafli la'asot.
Elohai, neshama shenatata bi t'arai, ata v'rata, ata yitzarta, ata שנשמה בקרבי, מודה אני לפניך, אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אבותי, מודה אני לפניך, אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אמותי, ריבון כל המעשים, אדון כל נשמות, ברוך אתה אדוני, אשר בידו נפש כל חי, ורוח כל בשר איש.
Elu Divarim She'en Lahem Shior. On page 88, we offer this recitation of Jewish ideals that keep our community strong, recognizing our responsibility to be there for each other in good times and bad. We read together. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. We turn now to page 106 as we rise for Chatzi Kaddish and remain standing through the Shema.
Amen. יברח ירצב ימנך מלכותך בחייכון וימכון וחייך בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח יתפאר ויתאמן ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ורחמתה, תמירן בעולמה, במהרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
On page 110, we continue with Yotzer Or, praising God for the gift of creation. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer Or uvarei choshech, osei shalom uvarei etakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit, ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechokma asita mal'a haaretz kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha sela, or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizkechu lanu mehera le'oro, baruch ata Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. On the bottom of on the top of page 112, we read together. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears, whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah.
והערננו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש, ולא ניכלם, ולא וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת, להודות לך וליחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמל ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני be seated. Please join me in V'ahavta on page 116. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'adecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכה kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kedoshim Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Emet.
On page 121, we read responsively. The eternal truth is that you alone are God, and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor, asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
We continue with the Amidah on page 124. Please rise.
עליון, קומע חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומותיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמנו הרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה
may be seated. We continue on page 132 with Yismechu as we rejoice in the 24 hours of Shabbat with the 24 words of Yismechu. On page 135, we read responsively. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide.
Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life.
Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Together on page 137. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha be'ira na'avod. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha lecha na'eh lehodot.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ha'am echad, barecheinu yotzreinu kulanu k'echad, ve'or panecha, ki ve'or panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ha'am echad.
Please take a moment for silent meditation.
Seder Kriyat Torah, service for the reading of Torah, page 245. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. We rise in honor of the Torah.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ein kemasecha, malchutcha malchut kol olamim, u'memeshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz lamo yitin, Adonai yevarech et amo b'shalom.
On the bottom of page 247, we read responsively. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now.
Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Baruch Shanatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shanatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יא לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יא לה 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 לה.
Rather than sit down immediately, if you are comfortable and willing to put on a mask, if you're not wearing a mask right now, we invite you to come on up onto the bima to share in a study of the verses we're going to chant in just a few moments. You can still participate with us if you do not want to come up onto the bima. And we're going to share in an interactive conversation about our Torah text, so come on up if you want. Otherwise, you can be seated. And we'll just live in a hybrid world, as we always do. As we do. And for those of you who are with us on live stream, our text study should be included in our order of service. I'm going to invite you to move this way, that way. Yeah. You're also welcome to face me. I just don't want my back to be to the live stream or to the congregation, but it's okay if yours are. Okay, so we are in Numbers chapter 16, Parashat Korach, which really, for the most part, focuses on the rebellion of Korach and the other leaders in the community that go along with him. But we have these other two gentlemen, Datan and Abiram, who join in with Korach. And it's not immediately clear why they would like to join in the rebellion as well. So we're going to look at that for just a moment. Who are they and what's their claim against Moses? But just like Korach and all of his followers get swallowed up by the earth for their rebellion, as Rabbi Yergin talked about last night, so too do Datan and Abiram's families. So the question is, the operative question always, is what is their sin? What is the thing that they have done that is so bad that causes God to cause their destruction? So we'll start by reading our text in English and then sharing in a few commentaries to help us understand. Sure, we're just going to kind of go along.
Moses sent for Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, but they said, "We will not come. Is it not enough that you brought us from a land flowing with milk and honey to have us die in the wilderness, that you would also lord it over us? Even if you had brought us to a land flowing with milk and honey and given us possession of fields and vineyards, should you gouge out those men's eyes? We will not come."
So some pretty harsh language there, right? And really Moses is trying to say, like, okay, Korach, you and your people, right? Like, you're a lost cause. But Datan, Abiram, come on. Like, I know we can figure this out, right? And their response is, heck no, right? Maybe a little stronger than that. But we are in sanctuary, and it is Shabbat after all. But this response, we will not come, right? This is operative. Okay, so Ibn Ezra gives us the context of why they would be rebelling in the first place.
Korach rebelled right after the inauguration of the tabernacle, when Aaron and his sons were designated to replace the firstborn as the only ones who would perform the sacrificial service. This angered Korach, who was himself a firstborn, and it was easy for him to enlist 250 leaders of the assembly who were also firstborn. Dathan, Abiram, and On were from the tribe of Reuben, which had its own reason for resentment, having lost its privileged firstborn status to the offspring of Joseph.
Thank you. So Ibn Ezra is pointing out globally, this is all about power, right? This is not about the good of the people as a whole. This is, hey, wait a second, Moses and Aaron, you shouldn't have to necessarily be in charge of everything. It's the firstborn that gets to be in charge of things. Who are you to take away our authority? Or who is God, right? Or they're just blaming Moses and Aaron. But really, who is God to say the firstborn are overlooked, and it's only going to be the tribe of Levi that has this power as priests to offer the sacrifices, right? Datan and Abiram are descendants of the tribe of Reuben. If we want to go back to Genesis, and we have the story of Joseph, right, and all of his brothers are Jacob's children. Reuben's the eldest of the children, so he and his descendants should have gotten all the property, but it's Joseph who's the favorite, or Joseph's children, Manasseh and Ephraim, who really get that opportunity. So says Ibn Ezra, they've got their own long-standing resentments against the power layers that have laid themselves out. Okay, Milgram adds another layer to that.
Being descended from Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob, and hence the original leader of the tribes, Dathan and Abiram resented Moses' leadership, and being encamped to the south alongside the Kohathites, they were neighbors with Korah, from which one can learn, woe unto the wicked, woe unto his neighbor.
Okay, so Jacob Milgram is pointing out that, again, there's this simmering resentment that has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years, perhaps, right? And then they happen to be neighbors with the Kohathites in the encampment, so they were already kind of looking for a fight, and when Korah started his rebellion, they were like, ooh, they got swept up in the energy of the rebellion and joined in. Okay, so now we understand who Datan and Abiram are and why they would be involved in a rebellion in the first place. Now we're going to look at what is so awful about this rebellion. Okay, Leibowitz.
We will not come. It is no accident that they opened and closed with the identical words, we shall not go up. Their wickedness lies in this, that they were not even prepared to reason.
Right, so this is an important point, right? There's no compromising, there's no discussion. They don't want to share their grievances and see if they can work out some kind of compromise. They just refuse to have a conversation, right? They want to put forth their claim and just leave it there. They don't want to hear anything. They don't want to admit that perhaps there's another way to go. Okay. Rashi adds a little, I guess, irony to their statement.
Lo na'aleh, we shall not go up. Dathan and Abiram uttered an unwitting prophecy, for they indeed descended alive to the pit, never to go up.
I know, I was like, ouch, Rashi, that's rough, right? So they said, we will not come up. No, lo na'aleh, yeah, you will not come up. As a matter of fact, you will be going down into the ground. Wow, didn't know. Okay, so now we're going to focus on a verse that we're not going to read tonight this morning, because it would have been really mean to ask Andrew Berlin to chant chapter 16, 12 through 26, right? So I was trying to be kind. But this verse is key to us to understand what the sin of these men was. So if you would not mind reading verse 26. You read verse 26 and then the Mincha Belula.
Okay. You may have told me names. Turn away from near the tents of these wicked men and do not touch anything of theirs, lest you perish with all their sins. Don't read the commentary. Okay. They were especially singled out for scorn because they became involved in a dispute to which they were not parties. The others sought to base their claim either the fact that they were Levites and therefore should be eligible for the priesthood, or else that they were firstborn and the Levites had supplanted them. Dathan and Abiram therefore were not of the tribe of Levi, nor were they firstborn, because we are told the sons of Eliab, Nemuel, Dathan, and Abiram.
Right, so Mincha Belula is saying the sin is they got involved in businesses that had nothing to do with them, right? They were looking for a fight. They really didn't have a reason. They didn't really have any claim. Number one, they were not firstborn, right? First of all, they weren't Levites, so they couldn't be mad that only one group of the Levites got power instead of the Kohathites, because the Kohathites are part of the Levites. It's a subclan, very confusing. That's number one. And then number two, they're not even firstborn, right? If we look at the lineage in the Torah, it says sons of Eliab, Nemuel, Datan, and Abiram, so they're the second and the third kids. So maybe Reuben was the first kid, but they, no matter what, would never have had access to firstborn rights, so to speak. So this commentary is saying is they just were getting involved in things that had nothing to do with them. that is a bad plan. But I think this final commentary is really important. And Bachia asks why it is that Moses doesn't intercede for the rebels, right? And also I'll add a meta question to that. There are many, many moments, as I said last night, in Torah where we have people arguing with God, challenging God, telling God, God's wrong, right? Or I don't like the way this plays out, I want a different path. And they don't always get what they want, but they're definitely not swallowed up by the earth, right? They're definitely not destroyed. So this particular rebellion is wicked, not for what is said, but for the intention behind it, right? And what the goals of the rebellious ones was. So Bachia asks the question, should I just read? Okay, Rabbi Jurgen.
I'm ready.
Go for it.
Why did Moses not intercede on behalf of the rebels, as he so often did for others? And why did the seemingly innocent young children suffer punishment along with the others? It is the very spirit of insurrection and divisiveness that is on trial in this tragedy. This is the mentality that was manifested by the builders of the Tower of Babel and by the inhabitants of Sodom. The public rebellion against God brought about the rare instances in which God chose to eradicate an entire generation so as to remove the evil from the world. The generation of the Tower of Babel was scattered, the city of Sodom was destroyed, and the followers of Korah were swallowed up by the earth, all for the same sin.
So, just reading this, it just reminded me of what happened in January in our country, which is to say, not that there aren't conflicting claims that are worthy of discussion, but when the goal is insurrection and divisiveness, we're bound for destruction. We don't have, not that I wish that anyone would be swallowed up by the earth, but it's dangerous when people aren't really looking for a solution and all they want is power for themselves. And, back in Torah times, God would just kind of swoop in and take care of things. In our day, we have to stand up for what we believe in, which is to say we believe in fairness, and we believe in dialogue, and we believe in compromise. It doesn't matter what your personal specific beliefs are, but we are required to hear the other person. Judaism is all about hearing a difference of opinions, working towards a compromise, and honoring those differences of opinions. Korah, Datan, and Abiram, just like last week in Parshat Shalach Lecha, could have come forward and had a civil conversation about their frustrations and perhaps would have not come to such a disastrous end. It reminds us how important it is to be open to compromise and to hear other people's perspectives and not just say, we will not come out, just to be obstinate. Okay, so don't be obstinate. That's the takeaway. Cantor Berlin is going to chant these opening verses from chapter 16, or these middle verses from chapter 16 about Datan and Abiram. I invite you to scooch forward and share in the blessing together.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach, Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed, Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch et Adonai noten ha'Torah. Vayishlach Moshe likro ledatan v'la'aviram b'nei Eliav, vayomru lo na'aleh hame'at ki elitanu me'eretz zavat chalav u'devash leha'amitenu bamidbar ki tistarer aleinu Gam histarer af lo el eretz zavat chalav u'devash havi otanu vatiten lanu nachalat sadeh v'charem ha'enei ha'anashim ha'hem tinaker lo na'aleh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Now in the, oh, sorry. Amplify the mess, just makes it boom. Okay. In the presence of Torah, we offer a Mishaberach, a prayer of healing for those who face the future not fully whole. Mishaberach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, v'Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our ancestors before us bring strength to all those who struggle against sickness and wholeness to all those who long to be healed. At this moment of prayer, I invite you to think about those who are on your mind, those who you hold in your heart in need of healing, and we join our personal prayers for them with prayers for those who are listed in our order of service. We take a moment to whisper those names out loud. And we sing our prayer for healing, Mishaberach. To return our Torah to the ark and lift it high. We turn to page 256, and I'd ask you if you're seated to please rise in honor of the Torah.
252.
252, sorry.
It's okay. Vezot haTorah shesam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. HaTorah shesam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Abi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la la. Page 256. It's chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushar derocheha tachenom v'chon netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem.
We continue with Aleinu on page 283.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shehu samech alkeinu lioched et shemo, ve'gor aleinu lamlich malchuto, משתחווים ומודים לפני מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. As we turn to our memorial meditation on page 291, we note the death of Roberta Bobby Feldstone, mother of Julia and John Thomas, Vicki and David Stolberg, and Greg and Daisy Hamilton, grandmother of Rachel Thomas, Emily Thomas, Daniel Stolberg, and Michael Stolberg, and sister of Louise Pankuch. 291 at the bottom, poem by Hannah Sunish. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. At this time, we remember those who we have their yahrzeits for, who died this time in years past. We remember them: Carol Abel, Norman G. Allen, Natalie Aronson, Juliet Art, Melvin August Jr., Hyman Baruch, Barbara F. Baum, Jack Burgavoy, Larry Berkman, Fanny Blum, Violet Braun, Blanche Davis, Dr. Stephen Elbine, Sarah Feller, Jay Ginsberg, Abe Gittleson, Harry Ralph Goldman, Muriel Green, Boris Grinman, Edith Harris, Stanley Jack Hoffman, Wallace Hughes, Harold Kelfer, Beatrice Kerman, Barbara Kaiser, Becky Feinsilver Krasnow, Pearl Kraus, Rose Francis Kronish, Irving Latt, Miriam Elaine Leff, Joyce Novich Lyons, Madge Mullen, Gloria Apatowski, Eveline Oppenheimer, Robert Osason, Gertrude Trudy Pollock, Joe Porterfield, Neil Porterfield, Consuelo G. Rodriguez, Ida Milgram Rosenman, Edgar Sanditon, Phyllis Schoner, Joanne Stockstiel, Florence Rono Strelke, Morris Strum, Benjamin Surif, Harvey Tamon, Dr. Arthur Skip Urbach, Doris Aline Paris Vitali, Eugene Leslie Wayne, Rosa Wolf, Harry A. Wood Jr., and Hazel Wolf. To these names, we add those who've died this past month, whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. We remember Stanley David Rosenberg and Leslie Sarah Kittler. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day as we turn to page 294 for Kaddish Yatom and rise together as a community. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'bizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'richu, le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Our closing song is Esa Einai on page 339. Shabbat Shalom.